The United Kingdom was founded by geniuses, but at the moment it's being run by idiots. Everything I just told you, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom knew. He had the same intelligence we had. When it came time for us to intervene, he said, you cannot use any United Kingdom Air Force bases or military bases. None. Zero. Nada. He specifically said you can't use Diego Garcia, the joint U.S. United Kingdom military base in the Indian Ocean.
What you're about to watch is a blistering and fiery speech on the Senate floor, where Senator John Kennedy took aim at one of America's closest allies, the United Kingdom, and more specifically, its Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. What started as a discussion about military strategy quickly turned into a sharp critique of Britain's leadership, its defense commitments, and its refusal to support the U.S. on the war with Iran. And at the center of it all is a deeper question about alliances, global security, and whether one of America's longest-standing partnerships is beginning to show cracks. Let's take a look.
Now, second thing I want to talk about, our friends in the United Kingdom, and they are our friends. I love the people of the United Kingdom. I do. I went to school there for a while. They're wonderful people. They deserve better than the government that they're being given right now. I don't mean any disrespect in saying this, but I'm not a big fan of the Prime Minister, Prime Minister Starmer. The United Kingdom was founded by geniuses, but at the moment it's being run by idiots. We entered Iran because we had no choice. I don't want America to be the world's policeman. I do not. But on occasion, some of the bad guys in the world decide they're going to be the world's policeman. And it requires us to intervene. And that's why we're in Iran. If I said Iraq, I made a mistake. It's late. That's why we're in Iran. The president did not enter Iran to start a war. He entered Iran to prevent a war. Let me tell you why I say that. Our intelligence clearly showed, categorically, unequivocally, that Iran had restarted its nuclear warhead program. What's the first thing, the very first thing that the Iranian leadership did? They started attacking all the other countries in the Middle East. They even fired a missile at Turkey. They even fired a missile at the United Kingdom, one of its bases in Cyprus. Now, I give you this background so you will know why the president did what he did. Everything I just told you, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom knew. He had the same intelligence we had. When it came time for us to intervene, he said, you cannot use any United Kingdom Air Force bases or military bases. None. Zero. Nada. He specifically said you can't use Diego Garcia, the joint U.S. United Kingdom military base in the Indian Ocean that Keir Starmer is trying to give away to Mauritius. You've heard me talk about it on the Senate floor. And Mauritius, of course, will welcome the Chinese. Now, once the war started going the way of people who believe in freedom, Prime Minister Starmer changed his mind. Now he says you can use our bases. Thank you very much. It's a little late. We don't need you. He's the kind of guy that he'll want to quote, if you're in the middle of a bar fight, he'll want to stop and quote Socrates. That's what this is, a bar fight. Because if you remember, about a year ago, January, the Prime Minister produced this report. That's all it was a report, but he called it a root and branch strategic defense review. And its purpose was to settle the United Kingdom's military path for years to come. It was ready not this past January, but January before. He didn't produce it until this past summer. And the Prime Minister makes a big deal in his report. He says, we've changed our ways. We've been born again. We're now going to spend 2.6% of our GDP on defense by 2027. And I'm thinking, good for you. It's about time. And he said this is going to be in line with all of our NATO allies, 2.6% of our GDP on defense by 2027. And he said, and by God, by 2035, we're going to be spending 3.5%. And I'm thinking, man, that's great. And then I read the report. The cash is backloaded. He didn't bother to tell the people of the United Kingdom or NATO or the president. The cash is backloaded. He's not going to even start spending the money, the real money, until the 2030s. That's 4 years from now. He's going to make it somebody else's problem. Talk about sleight of hand. So when we first heard that the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom was going to start spending 2.6% up to 3.5% of GDP on defense, of course we got excited. It's about time that the people in Europe embraced adulthood and stopped sending us the bill for their defense. So we were excited. I was excited. I was ready to come down here and congratulate the Prime Minister. And then I read the fine print. Sleight of hand. It's all sleight of hand. Now, if I'm wrong, I hope the Prime Minister will respond. But if I'm right, shame on him for looking the good people of the United Kingdom in the eye and the good people of the world in the eye and lying. And saying that the United Kingdom would do its part when the Prime Minister has no intention whatsoever. And the final point I make, you've heard me, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom wants to give away a military base, a joint military base that we own with the United Kingdom called Diego Garcia. It's in the middle of the Indian Ocean. The Prime Minister has decided he has got to give it to Mauritius. Mr. Starmer, woke that he is, said, well, we got to give it away. We want to give it away to Mauritius, who is just like this with China. He might as well just hand the keys to China. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. For us to give away that military base, which will end up in the hands of China, for us to give away one of the few places in the Indian Ocean that we can actually refuel our submarines, for us to give away this isn't a hyperbole, it's one of the most important military bases in the defense of the American people. For us to give it away would be unconscionable.
Now, before we get into Kennedy's remarks, here's a little context. For decades, the United States and the United Kingdom have been among the closest allies in the world. From World War II to NATO operations and joint military bases across the globe, the two countries have worked side by side on major security issues. It's often called the special relationship. So when disagreements emerge, especially on something as serious as military action against Iran, it tends to raise eyebrows in Washington. Because when the US and the UK are not fully aligned, it can put real strain on that long-standing partnership. And that's exactly the tension Senator Kennedy was highlighting. Listening to Kennedy here, you can tell this wasn't just policy criticism. He sounded genuinely frustrated. He begins by saying he loves the people of the United Kingdom, even mentioning that he studied there, but he draws a sharp line between the British public and their current leadership. Then he makes his argument. According to Kennedy, U.S. intelligence showed that Iran had restarted its nuclear weapons program and was rapidly building missiles and drones. In his view, the U.S. intervention wasn't meant to start a war, it was meant to prevent one. So from Kennedy's perspective, the situation demanded decisive action. But here's where his frustration with the British government comes in. Kennedy says that surprisingly, despite having access to the same intelligence, Prime Minister Starmer initially refused to allow U.S. forces to use British military bases, including the strategically important joint base at Diego Garcia. To Kennedy, that hesitation didn't just look cautious, it looked irresponsible. And the way he describes it is classic Kennedy, blunt, colorful, and a little sarcastic. He believes Britain's current leadership talks about strengthening defense, but isn't actually committing the resources needed right now. In fact, he accuses the government of pushing real military spending years into the future while presenting it as immediate action. In his words, it's a sleight of hand. And then Kennedy raises another issue that clearly worries him: the future of the Diego Garcia military base in the Indian Ocean. The base is jointly used by the U.S. and Britain, and it plays a key role in projecting military power across the Middle East and Asia. But the British government intends to transfer the surrounding islands to Mauritius, a move he fears could ultimately give China greater influence in the region. To Kennedy, that idea is unthinkable. He argues that giving up such a strategic location would weaken Western security and hand a geopolitical advantage to rivals like China. So when you listen carefully to the whole speech, Kennedy isn't just criticizing a prime minister. He's warning about what happens when longtime allies start drifting apart on major security decisions. Because the U.S. UK partnership has been a cornerstone of Western defense for generations. And if disagreements over Iran, military spending, or strategic bases continue to grow, that special relationship could face new pressure in a very uncertain world. So what do you think? Is Senator Kennedy right to call out Britain's leadership? Or is this just political theater on the Senate floor? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy breakdowns of the moments in politics that reveal what's really happening behind the scenes, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. And as always, you decide.